KP Heathen, good evening, my friend from Louisiana. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Well, I'm enjoying my spring break, day 3, or day 1 actually. You always get the weekends when you're in education. So, it's Monday. Joseph Moore. Welcome, Joseph. Hope the family's doing well. Same hopes for you, KP. I know you have family. Uncle Al, Die Bullfrog 79. How's it going? Everybody's saying hello to everybody else. I'm glad everything's been good. I've been cooking. I enjoy cooking. I've been cooking. I did a short that I uploaded of a breakfast taco I made. Home raised eggs from my chickens, good quality bacon, and large flour tortilla. Very good. Put some chipotle on it, if I recall correctly. It was good. When I get through with Livestream, I'm making burgers. Some 80% hamburger meat. And I had some college food for lunch. I made my wife a nice sandwich, and I had a bowl of ramen, chicken flavored ramen. Oh Lord. But lots of stuff going on. Wife's working. It was trash day. Got the trash out. Oh man, she had like 7 or 8 cans of leaves and branches and all sorts of crap she's cleaning up from over the winter time when she had most everything covered. And now she's trying to get everything back in order, planning new stuff, enjoying herself. Hillbilly Josh Loftus, thank you for coming, Hillbilly. Well, thank you for coming. Appreciate you coming by. Corned beef and cabbage. Sounds good. Sounds delicious. I tell you what, you would not starve at my house. You would not starve at Uncle Al's house. uh, that's good. Well, and your channel's growing too. It's getting big. Getting big, Hillbilly. Uh, looking at topics. What we're going to talk about this evening. 6 emergency items for the home. 6 emergency items. And we're not talking food, water, or medication. We're talking other items. 6 emergency items. Melinda Elliott. Hello, Melinda Elliott. Thank you for coming. Well, ready to start? Okay. 6 emergency items for the home. First one, a fire extinguisher. I have a fire extinguisher in my kitchen. I have one in the garage. I do not have one in each of my vehicles. That's true, I do not. The other thing is, yeah, I've got the Walmart one shot, it's done. In other words, it's not the kind that you go and you can have it serviced and refilled or whatever. It's a small fire extinguisher. A lot of people lack a proper fire extinguisher. A lot of people don't have fire extinguishers. And they lack any sort of use it. If you're going to look at a fire extinguisher or buying a fire extinguisher, I would watch some videos. Watch videos explaining, their use, how they're used, proper use of one. Get proper training. The fire department, you can get training through your local fire department, OSHA. If possible, get a rechargeable extinguisher. They're not cheap, though. But, getting the kind that you can service, that they can recharge, that would be preferable. It's going to cost you more. What I would say, personally, is that I would have several fire extinguishers. I'd keep a couple of them readily accessible to my kitchen, like the kitchen, the garage. You have one vehicle, I'd probably put one in my vehicle. Workshop. Places where you could theoretically have a fire get out of control. The main place would be like in the kitchen when you're cooking. But I would have a fire extinguisher. So that's number one. Hello, Holly Ivins, and hello, Little Lone Prepper. The ladies coming in, saying hello to everybody. So, fire extinguisher. Second item is good radio. Most people have radios, the little pocket radios. I have, each of our carry bags has a radio. It's one of the ones I paid like $45 and some change, around $45 for each of those. Not the cheapies, but good antenna to pull out. It is a hand crank. You can hand crank it. You can charge it, USB charge it. It's got a lithium battery, and a small lithium battery in it. AM, FM, you can get the Weather Channel, NOAA. But my friend Uncle Al would basically tell you to get a good old-fashioned battery-powered, old-school, multi-band radio, shortwave, AM, FM, weather radio. You can get the standard travel size, or you can get a pocket size with an earphone. Standard AM, FM, weather. Nothing wrong with that. I've had those kind of radios since I was a kid. We've had them. And traditional battery. We used to use the ones with the D batteries. And I will tell you this, D batteries are not cheap. So if you're going to get something that's going to have large batteries, D batteries or whatever, unless you're using rechargeables. And even if you're using rechargeables, you got the initial expense of buying them. They're not cheap. Um, and then along with the radio is of course flashlights. The number 3 flashlights. Um, Same as a radio, no gimmicks, no gadgets. Uncle, I would say no hand crank or no USB. He basically just say, have extra batteries. Have something that runs on batteries and have extra batteries on hand. A standard old school setup is a pin light, a flashlight, or a headlamp. Lamps are fine. Test and check batteries. Remember maintenance. Yeah, you gotta check them. I will tell you, I've got 3 of the Goal Zero um, torches or lamps. They've got built-in USB. You can charge them. You can hand crank them. They've got indicators to show how much power they have, and you can hang them from a carabiner. Sit them. You can use it to recharge your phone, as long as you've got a power source to recharge them. I've got 3 of those. We each have one. Very good quality. I think they're around $75 a piece now. But I mean, old school is fine. Mom of 4 boys. Hello, mom of 4 boys. Rachel? So if you're just now coming in and you missed the last few minutes, you may want to go back and replay it when it's uploaded. 6 emergency items for the home. Fire extinguisher, radio, flashlight or flashlights. And number 4 is a standard first aid kit. 2 out of 5 people lack a basic first aid kit. Store improperly. Too many gadgets, lack of use of first aid kit, lack of basic first aid training. A basic first aid kit does the basic functions. Stops bleeding, protects the wound, prevent shock and panic, bind a limb, make an arm sling, head bandage, eye bandage, disinfect a wound area, purification of water, removing splinters and ticks, temporary relief of minor ailments. Grades of fire extinguishers an A, B, and a C. and I don't know enough. You probably want to ask Uncle Al to details on that. I'm a firm believer in fire extinguishers, and truthfully, having been Walmart, I used to be with Walmart for 3.5 years, and I used to be the hardware and the sporting goods guy. I'd buy lots of my stuff from Walmart. So, I mean, I'd get stuff on sale. They'd have stuff on sale, or they would discontinue a particular brand or whatever, and I'd get lots of stuff like on the cheap. So I would basically tell you to get some quality extinguishers, but I have no problem with getting them from Walmart, and I'd get several. And that way, if you do use it, you've got a spare. Or maybe one doesn't take care of it, or there's 2 people working on it. You can have 2 people working the extinguishers. A boo-boo bag versus a trauma bag. Well, yeah, most first aid kits are boo-boo kits. if you've had some training and you know what you're doing, you probably want a little bit bigger, or you want something that you can do a little bit more with. So the idea of a splint, and I had, or the idea of a pressure bandage, from the idea of like a deep wound, you know, you need to be able to stop the bleeding. You need to be able to have pressure on it until you can get the person to, to medical care, real medical care. Ark Wildman, how's it doing? How's it going, Ark? I was over on your channel here a day or two ago. You're putting out some good content, sir. Appreciate you coming in. We are talking about items that a person needs. Right? We've just been talking about first aid kits. Difference between a boo-boo and a trauma kit. If somebody's had the proper training, you want a more extensive kit. Most people go for, do you have something to clean a wound? Do you have bandages, boo-boo bandages? I include ointments and such. Like, you have something like something to an antibiotic ointment. The kits that I give out are $18, $20. An $18, $20 kit. It's got a bunch of stuff in it, but it's not like you're going to go do surgery, and you don't want those kind of kits because you don't know how to do surgery. So, but the idea is you do need to be able to stop bleeding, clean a wound, perhaps do a sling. They say, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do tourniquets. And, as far as that goes. But fire extinguishers, radios, flashlights, first aid kits. Next would be a good quality water carrier. A 5-gallon water container. You should keep those in your vehicle. You should keep them at your home. Being able to store water in an emergency. Relief workers are probably not going to want to give you water in a plastic bag, a garbage bag, or in some sort of, make do tote. They're not going to want to do that. During a hurricane, a tornado, or a disaster, you need proper water storage. You need to have proper water storage. Uncle Al would basically laugh about, the half liters. Well, I buy, cases and cases. I've got cases and cases of them, and I keep a couple of them in my carry bag. They've got little pockets for them in my carry bag. And mind you, each one of those represents a little over a pound. So the more water you're carrying, the heavier it is. But the idea is you should have water in your vehicle, and you should have plenty of stored water at your home, bottled water, or wherever you're staying at. And the sixth thing is blankets and sleeping gear. So heavy wool blankets, the basic things, the main purpose is to keep off the cold ground. Having a ground sheet or a mat, an air mattress, prevents body heat loss. Having a folding cot a mat, an air mattress with sleeping bags. Especially like if you're going to have people over, you don't have the spare beds, then you need to have some folding cots and sleeping bags for them. And you go camping, and back in the days when I was younger, sleeping bags. You know, you have sleeping bags and the idea of an air mattress and sleeping bags. I'm Nurse Ratchet this week. My husband dislocated his shoulder. Oh, God almighty. God bless your husband. God bless your husband. Um, and that's something that I watch out for as I get older. I don't do things that I used to do. I try to avoid ladders. I try to avoid doing things. My range of motion's not what it used to be. My depth perception's not what it used to be. I don't have the physical strength I used to have. So I try to take all that into consideration. I also, look at it and try to explain to my wife when she asks me to do something I don't want to do. I said, well, honey, if I hurt myself, there's your income. Well, I get retirement income, so that's besides the point. But I mean, the idea of being able to work, and make extra money, like I'm teaching right now. And I have to be in decent condition in order to do that. But, accidents happen. Yeah, you would need training to use a trauma kit. Uncle Al, that's true. Yes, and please hit the like button. Helps with the live stream. I was Enrique Trevino on KL. He contacted me today, and we were communicating. And we were just. It's nice, somebody contacts you that you haven't talked to before, you haven't communicated with before. And he was telling me if I sent him something, he'd feel the need to send me something, and then he knows how I basically retaliate. So we'd be like in a cold, send me this, send me that war. We're joking about that. And he said, "Well, send that box to somebody else. That may need it more. That other people may appreciate the appreciate it." And I said, "Well, the office's still open." But I haven't seen Utah Mike recently. Has anybody had any contact with Utah Mike? Because he was another one that I said I was going to send a box to, and he was in here all the time. Then all of a sudden, here lately, he hasn't been here, and I don't know if he's, his political beliefs are such that I might have offended him saying something fairly conservative, or I repeatedly said something fairly conservative that just got to him. Because there are people who, it's like World War III. You say the wrong thing, and it's like all they see is, well, red, but they really see blue. Name the two types of fire extinguishers. Well, a chemical and a foam. I think what a 5, 10, a 20. I don't know. Um, but you know, you can get them fairly large. I think a 20 is a pretty good size, big one. I've seen the big ones, you know, with the pull it out, you know, it's got like the long hose on it, you know, pretty heavy. Not foam. All right, Uncle Al, you're the expert on these things. Idaho Garden Girl, thank you for coming. I will tell you, like I said, um, I've purchased and I have smaller size fire extinguishers, you know, like $20 that I've got from Walmart. They're not that large. They're like single use, and I've never really had to use them. I mean, I played with one time, but sort of like, you know, with pepper spray or pepper gel. Sometimes you get multiples and you want to practice with it, so you know you get into a situation where you can practice using it. And I did that with a fire extinguisher one time, wanting to put out a fire pit outside. Foam is fire department. Okay. I've been watching a few videos and shorts, news related. Um, People freak out over things that the president says. I mean, it's like they just go insane over things that he will say. He talks about Panama. He talks about Greenland. He talks about Canada. Um, there are parts of Canada that's fairly conservative that do not get along with the left wing government. They don't have as much population as some of the eastern parts of Canada. You hear them talk about wanting to separate from the Canadian government. They hear a lot about Manitoba, how it has a population of less than 5 million. It's got a lot of resources, oil, and such. And it's sort of like Texas from the standpoint that Texas would send the federal government funds, and then the federal government would send funds back, like education or other funds. And we don't get back as much as we send. And then they use those funds for other states, the poor states. And that's sort of like how Manitoba is, that they send more than they receive, and the money that they, you know, that they send, a lot of it gets used elsewhere, and they're not too happy about that. Hello, Myra. Walmart and Target lose pressure over time. Well, and also they have dates on them. Extinguishers will have dates on them, sort of like expiration dates, or they're expected to be good for a certain period of time. And that's something that periodically I would just buy a new one and chunk the old one. Haven't used it, but I'd chunk it. It's like having smoke detector. You got to periodically check the batteries. You got to periodically test it. Most things you have to periodically maintenance them. Replace the batteries in flashlights. Replace the batteries in radios and such. Having spare batteries. That's important. So the idea about being preparedness is being organized, knowing what you need to do, having a list, periodically go through it, check your supplies, make sure that your stuff is where you can get to it. It's just vigilance. Vigilance. Like every evening, making sure your doors are locked. Last thing you do is check the doors, check the lights. Well, that's good. I probably should look into that. Look into getting a more professional extinguisher. I don't do, our house is all electric. I don't have natural gas. And so, like my stove, it's runs on 220. It's got a cooktop. I can I usually use the cooktop. Sometimes, well, we usually use an air fryer for some of the things that I would traditionally, that you basically put inside your stove, to we do with an air fryer. Big stuff like if you're gonna do a turkey, you're still using your stove for that, That's another thing. You have propane. You got the 20-pound propane tanks. You got to periodically exchange them. They can lose pressure, so you've got to periodically make sure that take them back and refill them. I have three 20-gallon propane tanks. It is probably time for me to take them over to truck and tractor and top them off, make sure that they're full. One of them we use with our outside, gas. We've got a grill out there that we use, and yeah, I'm sure that one probably is nowhere near full, but probably need to go and and exchange them or fill them up. I really don't exchange them. I basically just take them over and fill them up. You'll get more propane if you go and do it that way, as opposed to if you just go and you exchange a tank. They don't put as much in them as you can give them. You can give them to top them off. If you go take it over to a place like truck and tractor. Only $25 a year for fire extinguisher maintenance and service. Sounds like a good deal, Uncle Al. I need to look into that. It's on my list of things to do. Yeah. When we turn our stove off, it has a indicator that will say hot, you know, lets you know that it's on or that it was on and that it's hot. Enrique, your ears should be ringing. I don't know if you've been lurking or not, but mentioned you. Yeah, I mentioned you had contacted me, and we'd had a little exchange on a few things. Hey, I appreciate you just stopping by and saying hello. Yes, Uncle Al would say never point a fire extinguisher at a grease fire or a chemical fire. Hopefully, I'm not going to have a grease fire or a chemical fire. But if I do, you know, the important thing is if a fire gets out of control, call 911, and you better have good insurance. Kitchen remodel is not an inexpensive thing. Um, we will be coming into, there's a lot of storms, a lot of tornadoes. There have been people dying from these um, wild windstorms. And tornadoes raise havoc on campers and mobile homes. And I tell you what, the United States, I think, is number one when it comes to those kinds of storms. And then we're coming into hurricane season. We'll be coming into hurricane season again. it, it will be coming up. So you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared. I believe it was yesterday. Might have been Little Lone Prepper or Holly Ivins. One of them was talking about, what do you do, if something happens and you can't go to the store? Well, you, whatever's in the fridge and the freezer, you eat that first. And then you start eating your canned goods and eat that. Then you go to your freeze dried foods and you eat that. And then finally you go to your MREs and you eat those. Sort of in that order. And I mix and match stuff. I mix and match stuff. So it may be that we have something that's freeze dried, and then we have something out of a can, and we have something that's like an MRE extra, you know, stuff that's shelf stable, long shelf life, shelf stable stuff. So you can do all sorts of combos of stuff. Something happened with my Keurig today. It won't turn on. It's like, wife said, well, it probably needs to be cleaned or whatever. I was checking it, so now I need to go troubleshoot that. I'm I'm not using my pods, I'm back to my um, little coffee sachets. Belinda's Country Living. Welcome, Belinda. Thank you for coming. Astronaut food. Yep. June to November. Thank you. Yep, hurricane season. Well, I will tell you um, what you like. If you get cases like you buy, um, say MREs, and you get stuff cases, normal like the U.S. military type MREs, they've got a case A, which is menus 1 through 12 different menus. And there's a case B, which will be menus 13 through 24, the 24 menus. And, and that's not taking consideration halal or kosher or one of the other subcategories. Also doesn't take into consideration cold weather, which the main and cold weather MREs normally freeze dried. It's usually Mountain House freeze dried. And but you start looking at emergency type food or FEMA type food, stuff that humanitarian stuff. Those are usually vegetarian. Some of the FEMA, like the you get these cases, the 24-hour rations, and they'll have a couple of mains in them, and they're usually like bean related, or there's some sort of non-meat. The mains, they'll have crackers, peanut butter, jelly, Pop Tarts. They'll have different types, maybe a smoothie. They'll have, it all depends on what company you get it from, what company made it. So you start looking at those. Do you like them? Well, they're edible. They last a long time. It's always good to have extra stuff, like extras. And plenty of beverage powders to put in water. Water purification, you gotta have that. But like I've got cases and cases of unopened um, field rations, emergency rations, and such. I know what's in them. I've had them before. I've eaten them. I've done reviews on them way back in the day. If you go back way back into my archives, you'll find some reviews on some of that stuff. And the older stuff, or the FEMA stuff, is not as expensive nowadays. MREs, you can pay $15 a pop for an MRE, for a relatively fresh MRE, whereas the FEMA stuff, you'll pay $3, $4 for a 24-hour FEMA ration, the kind that they give out for emergencies and such. Rain, hail, lightning, flood, and snowstorms, plus wildfires. Yep. 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 Twinkies are alleged not to have pork, no bear meat. Enrique. I want to face the end times with cookies. Russians dried and canned. Girl Scout cookies are very unhealthy. I don't doubt that. They taste pretty good too. Russian MREs are probably just bear meat and vodka. No, Enrique, it's freeze drying. All Girl Scout cookies are vegan and halal. Cold weather MREs, Russian stuff. The U.S. puts out a cold weather MRE. Comes in a white pack. And the thing about that is that the main in the cold weather MRE is always a Mountain House freeze dried something that would last 30 years if you didn't open it up and eat it. The idea of freeze-dried type foods, they're long-lasting. As long as you store them properly, they'll last you the rest of your life, if you don't use them. But the mains are always something that you'd reconstitute with boiling water. That, you know, they'll have like maybe a side, they'll have a snack, they'll have a dessert, they'll have a couple of beverage powders, you know, whether it be a coffee or whether it be a lemon lime or some such, you know. They'll have a couple of those in it. A lot of them have crackers. I mean, I buy MRE crackers, but you get them in a box of 50. Right now they're out as far as like Amazon. I buy most of my stuff off of Amazon. Right now they're out. I have like 3 boxes of unopened. They last forever. Those crackers, they last you forever. And that's not including the fact that just about every ration you get will probably have crackers in them. Some will have tortillas. I got lots of shelf-stable tortillas as well. Tortillas, or you know, bread items, type bread. As far as the shelf-stable stuff, I prefer the tortillas. I can basically make a taco. I mean, I'm real big on tacos for everything. And you can always, you know, take your tortilla and stuff it with whatever you're going to stuff it with, and some cheese or some jalapeno or whatever. And or you got your main. You can put some of your whatever your whatever your main source is. Stick that in the tortilla and eat it. So I mix and match a lot of my stuff. Regular MREs freeze solid in cold weather at 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, well, they're not going to get nowhere near that cold, you know, at where I'm at. And they're not going to get cold inside where I'm at. But yeah, they can freeze over on you, I'm sure. Yeah, vodka's a painkiller. The Russians love their painkillers, don't they? Oh, oh, I just had a jabbing pain from arthritis. my arthritis, my arthritis anti-inflammatory hasn't been working as well lately as it should. Sometimes I just get a shot of pain, you know. Oh, it was a joke. Stereotypical Russian stuff. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that vodka you can disinfect with it too. They say it might cure VD. Just pour it on the affected area. Oh, joking. Oh Lord, that was funny. But it you know, it is what it is. I need to stock up on cookies and vodka. Okay, well, hey, I hear you. I hear you. You know, and that's another thing they talk about: barter and trade, barter and trade. Um, Having a supply of things that you don't necessarily use yourself, but you can trade for, so you can barter with people. If something happened, uh, what would you have to barter? What sort of barter items would you have that other people might want? I don't smoke. Would it behoove me to have some cigarettes on hand, like stock up on several uh, cartons of cigarettes so I could possibly barter individual packs, you know, for something? Um, you know, and you start looking at groups. Um, what do you bring to a group? If you have friends and if you're in with them, what's your area that you bring as a strength? What's their area? Does it complement your area? Does it provide support that you lack? You got to think about stuff like that. Thin Mints and Earl Grey tea for gas. My mother used to put cigarettes in the freezer. Toilet paper, apparently. Yes. Yes. Ammunition. Ammunition for weapons. Toilet paper. I buy cases over at Sam's. I keep several cases. Paper towels, the same thing. Cases of it. In an emergency, I'm not going to run out. Wet wipes. Travel wipes. Kleenex. Don't leave wherever without them. You know, there's not near as many smokers now as there used to be. Something that's like a recent, well, not recent, but recent is vaping. People who did not want to smoke cigarettes, vaping. It's becoming very popular with the juvenile delinquent population, kids. Against the law if you're under 18, but they get them. I mean, middle school kids have them. They get them with THC. That getting caught with that at school is a 45-day DAP placement. More people seem to smoke the devil's lettuce these days than tobacco. Yes. Well, I'll tell you what. Willie Nelson's in his mid 90s and he's still smoking that stuff. Snoop Dogg was talking. I was watching an interview one time and he talking about marijuana, and he said that Willie Nelson was the only person that could smoke him under the table. When they get together and they be smoking, Willie's still going and he's over here laid out. And that's high praise, I guess, if you're into that kind of stuff. Oh, that's why Little Lone Prepper, she would go to Pennsylvania and buy several cartons 2 times a year. God made Mary Jane. That's a term for it, Mary Jane. Hadn't heard that in a while, but yes. Uh, 10 in the house, 18 likes. Weed is legal here in Jersey. A lot of stuff's legal in Jersey. Probably prostitution's legal there. We've got to watch out for that kind of stuff. Well, there are red states and there are blue states. And the blue states tend to be more tolerant for things that are not legal in red states. I'd say there are 28 or so red states and maybe 22 blue states. There are dispensaries all over. There are women of the evening all over. You ever watch any of these? They come up in my recommendeds, like Street Life in Los Angeles or something other, and you see these semi-naked girls walking around, skinny girls walking around out in the street, and you think, okay, prostitution. God made snakes and scorpions too. Doesn't mean I go anywhere near them. Well, my thing is to kill snakes. I hate snakes. I don't care for scorpions, but I hate snakes. I wouldn't go near either one, and I'd probably kill them. I have memories of my father with his Colt revolver shooting rattlesnakes. He saved me from a rattlesnake one time, curled up. I probably would have walked up on it. He stopped me to back up, and then he pulled out his revolver and he shot it several times. Thing kept moving, but he shot it and he killed it. But the body kept moving. You haven't seen prostitutes? Well, that's good. Those are hookers, David. Oh, hookers? Is that what they call them? There was a general, and that's where the name came from. There was a general in the Civil War, a Union general by the name of Joseph Hooker, fighting Joe Hooker. He allowed camp followers along with his troops, and that's where the term hooker came from. True story. True story. History teacher that hates snakes, you should get a hat, satchel, and bullwhip. I wish I had my father's bullwhip. He had a really nice leather custom-made bullwhip, and he'd pop that thing. He'd pop that thing. He'd crack it. We call them housewives here. Okay. Do I live with where I'm at? I'm my home, which was built in the '60s, the late '60s, of like '67, was outside the city limits. So when it was built, and it's like on 3/4 of an acre, when it was built, and all these homes along here, 3/4 to an acre, they all had water wells, and they all had septic systems. So when it was incorporated into the city limits, as they kept building out, they had city water and they had city sanitation. Now, a lot of people still have their wells. They're shallower wells and they're hard water. So it's good for watering the lawn or washing the car or, that kind of stuff. Watering the garden, but you really wouldn't want to drink it without doing some serious filtration. It would really challenge your filtration to filter that stuff. So yeah, occasionally grass snakes. You go further out, a couple of miles, you'll have rattlesnakes, and you'll have copperheads. So there are, poisonous snakes, yes, out and about. But I've never seen one in 20 years where I live at now. I've never seen one here. Grass snakes, yes, and we kill those too. I don't care for them. Rattlesnakes are delicious, taste like chicken. Cue Indiana Jones theme. Da, 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 da. Yeah, okay. Men need to be careful about those ladies now. A lot of them are probably male. Ooh, yes, and they may be carrying diseases. When I lived in Florida, we had a rattlesnake problem on our property. We had to call a professional to round them up. Well, and the thing about rattlesnakes, where there's one, there's probably more, and there may be like a little covey of them, where they're at. They when they reproduce, you'll have a bunch of them, and I've seen that before, like a snake pit type thing. And yeah, you need to really deal with them. The King Ranch had a real bad rattlesnake problem, and they imported the blue indigo snake from India. It's a blue black snake. They get to be 10, 12 foot long, and they eat other snakes. They'll eat rattlesnakes, and they like the king snake will eat a rattlesnake, and you get a good sized one. And they imported them, and now they're all over. I've seen them. I saw a blue indigo snake crossing a road just outside of town. There was something other big across the road, big dark something across the road, and it was a snake crossing the road, in front of me. It was blue indigo. Good night, Uncle Al. Thank you. Well, you should always be careful walking. You should always be careful walking. And it's a good idea if you're walking, carry have boots, have a walking stick or something. Don't walk at night if you can avoid it. Be out and about. Well, another thing is like on the roads and such. Roads retain their heat after dark, so snakes are cold-blooded. So they'll crawl out on the side of the road and curl up, just to get heat. So you got to watch out about that. You got to watch out about those kind of things. 10 in the house, 18 likes. Go at women's shoes when you get to size 10 and over. The glitter in heel sizes increase. So odd. Wear tall boots if walking at night in grass. That's true. Yep, some tall boots. Also, you want to make sure you got a good flashlight in front of you. Aim it down so you can see what's around. Rattlesnakes, you'll know if there's a rattlesnake around because usually you'll hear the rattling. Do they just attack you? Usually not. I mean, you scare them, you get close enough to them, they'll strike out. The idea of the rattling is to warn you to stay away from them. My father used to collect rattles. I've got a whole big bag of rattles that's rotting that he had collected from snakes he'd killed. Do you run over a snake? You could run over a snake. Like you can go and you can Google stuff like that, like the timberback rattlesnake. They get fairly, get them all over the place. You get rattlesnakes all over the United States. Up north, they have rattlesnakes. Now, at wintertime, they tend to hibernate. Snakes will hibernate. If they will hibernate, and they'll be like in holes, or they'll be down underground. No, I don't really care for rattlesnake. They have like rattlesnake roundup where they cook the damn things. You can eat some. Yeah, they say they taste like chicken. I won't eat the damn stuff. Nope. No way. Will not happen. You also have to watch out for water moccasins. And they're very aggressive. Water moccasins are aggressive. They will attack you. They'll come at you. Those, if you have a pistol, shoot them in the head. Kill them and get away. Don't get near them. They're very aggressive. Water moccasins. You don't want to be anywhere around those. I don't care what they taste like. I'm not going to eat a snake. I'm not going to eat snake meat. I do not want to do that. My grandfather was bitten on the hand by a rattlesnake. He was going to a wood pile to get some wood. Reached in, there was a snake, and it bit him. And he sliced his hand. Then went to the hospital, and they had a serum, for anti-snake bite, for rattlesnake. And got to be very careful where you walk, where you step, where you put your hands. Look around. Baby snakes. No. Nope. Don't want any iguana either. Don't want any of that. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful for all that. I've been watching a lot of stuff. I've been watching a lot of stuff They're doing a lot of stuff on bones, ancient bones. They're doing DNA testing and they're sequencing and they're doing all sorts of stuff on um, ancient peoples and animals. They have reason to believe that the last ice age ended when something large came out of the sky and hit the North American ice sheet during the last ice age. You had 2 miles or more thickness of ice. Something came down huge, hit it, and vaporized all that ice. It's like a massive bomb going off. Vaporized all that ice. Ocean levels rose several hundred feet in less than a year. Ocean levels had risen several hundred feet. That was the end of the Younger Dryas. They called it the Younger Dryas. They're saying that was about 12,000 years ago. And most of the so-called megafauna in North America and the peoples that were in North America disappeared when that happened. It was significant enough that it basically wiped them out. And you can find, if you know what you're doing, like geologists and such know what they're doing, you can find evidence of that at a certain level. Fragments and such, dust just built up, from the wreckage and whatever. And that brought about some big changes, and that's when a lot of our developments really start kicking in. Yeah, you don't want to screw with snakes. You do not want to mess with snakes. Peruvians eat guinea pigs. Type of harmless water snake. There's only a few types of venomous snakes in the U.S. My dad messed with a black snake and got bit, but if they're not venomous, they can't hurt you. Well, getting bit's gonna hurt you. They got teeth, that's gonna hurt. You can also get an infection from them. He was just fine, cried, but has never tried that trick again. No, I don't want to get anywhere near a snake. I will tell you that. Don't want to get anywhere near a snake. I'm going to try to do a news. I'm going to try to do a news this week. One of those 5-minute coffee talk newses. I've got a bunch of stuff I need to edit. I'm even at the point where I'm editing shorts, where I'm putting a little piece here, piece there, piece the other, to put my shorts together. I did one of cooking and got different clips I got to put together and be cooking this morning. I will notify y'all about tomorrow. I expect to do another live stream tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll have a topic for it. Had a pet corn snake. Yuck. Oh, good Lord. The cheerleader with the snake. Ugh. Very mellow snake. Okay, well, I don't I don't care what sort of snake it is. I don't want snake. I've got chickens. I like chickens. Like dogs. Don't like snakes. So when I get up in the morning, I thank God for the day. You don't know how many days you have. Your days are numbered. I'm going to be 63 this next month. I drink my coffee. I take my medication. I've got a pill organizer. 7 days. And actually, I take seven pills in each one of these. Refill it once a week. Drink my coffee. Say the Lord's Prayer. And I try to, take care of whatever business I need to take care of. I've been sleeping a lot. So, remember that the Scout motto is to be prepared. And as I like to say, everybody, please have a blessed day and hopefully join me tomorrow for another coffee talk. Good night. Thank you and God bless. Bye.